Having a career in pharmacy can at times feel like an uphill battle. The constant demands, the pressures, and finishing each day like your to-do list was just as large as it was in the morning. It may leave you questioning if there's more to your professional journey. It's a question that I confront regularly, but one that drives me to make positive changes towards a better working life. Daily and weekly reflection exercises has really helped me to understand my approach to working life, what improvements I can make, and what strategies I can use to turn those draining pressures into opportunities for growth. Let's take a moment to reflect on your professional journey and how you approach your goals. What's working well for you, and where do you see areas for improvement? I have seen success with time blocking, weekly meetings with my husband to synchronize schedules, and task batching. These 3 strategies alone have been game changers towards my productivity and efficiency. If this resonates with you and you'd like to explore this even deeper, immerse yourself in my new quiz, What's Holding You Back from Achieving Your Professional Goals? You will discover one specific area to focus on, and hopefully this will kickstart your journey towards a more rewarding career. It only takes 60 seconds to complete, and the link is below. Let me know how you get on. Hey, my name is Anisha Patel, and I'm obsessed with all things career development. Whether that's navigating through your professional journey, gaining more clarity, identifying your passions, or gaining the confidence to chase your dreams, I'm here to support you to craft a roadmap to success. I am a pharmacist turned entrepreneur who's transformed my passions into purpose. I've grown a podcast that has reached thousands of people across the globe. I'm building an online business, and I've left my 9-to-5 to chase my dreams and build a career that I love. I've walked this path of transformation myself, and now I'm here to share insights, strategies, and stories to help you carve out a career that you love. Career opportunities, personal development, challenges, growth, and building life skills are all things we discuss on this podcast. Whether you're sipping a cup of coffee, taking a walk, or driving in the car, be prepared to be inspired and motivated to step outside of your comfort zone. This is the Pharmacist Diaries podcast.
Welcome back to Pharmacist Diaries. Today I am very excited to introduce a Spanish pharmacist on the podcast, our first Spanish pharmacist on Pharmacist Diaries. So welcome to Gonzalo. I'd like to give a little introduction about his history. He is a community pharmacist by background, and he's also on the FIP Early Careers Steering Committee, which is also, we've had multiple other pharmacists from the FIP Young Pharmacy Professionals group. So if you need to go back to those episodes, I will link them into the show notes so you can see which ones they are. I'm really excited to have this conversation just because Gonzalo shared so much interesting information about himself prior to kind of getting onto this podcast episode. He's definitely a huge lover of education and self-development, so I can't wait to hear his journey into pharmacy. So let's kind of kickstart the episode by talking about why you became a pharmacist in the first place.
Hello, thank you, Anissa. First of all, I'm really excited about being here, okay? I do love the podcast environment and the radio world, so it's kind of excited at the moment. I became pharmacist maybe because it was something that I started seeing at home, as my parents, both mom and dad, are pharmacists. And also my older brother became a pharmacist before me. But it's something that I've been interested since I was very little. In fact, I got like a little tiny lab coat when I was like 3 years old. And I have spent all the summers helping my family here. So I got into the world of how pharmaceutical care improve the quality of life of the people. And I decided that when I grow up, I wanted to be like the community pharmacist and try to improve and try to keep working on this beautiful world that we have here in our community. So it's something really enjoyable.
I love that. Have you got any pictures of you as a child wearing the lab coat?
Well, I don't have it with me at the moment, but at home, yes. We have with a little nest that you get for getting all the supplies. And I was like playing inside one when I was very little, or maybe checking the blood pressure, like things, funny
Oh my
things,
goodness.
funny
You
pictures.
should absolutely share those photos with me in email. So when this episode comes out, I'll add them to the video, which will be so exciting for people to see the younger version of Gonzalo. And I love these stories. I love these stories of pharmacists
Absolutely.
who've kind of had pharmacy ingrained into their lives from such a young age, and especially because you've got family members within the pharmacy profession, and your brother's doing it too. So that's so cool. Tell me a little bit about what studying to be a pharmacist is like in Spain. I'm really intrigued. And every time I speak to somebody from another country, it's always good to kind of start the episode to talk about that journey out of interest for people.
Of course, I will. Studying pharmacy degree here in Spain, it's a 5 years degree, okay? And you need to pursue first a bachelor in the high school, and then you can promote to the university. And well, it's a kind of a long journey because during the first years you need to focus on maybe general subjects like physics or maths or chemistry, and then you after the second, the third year you start seeing all the pharmaceutical world, right? And during the last years it turns that you need to choose a little the path you need to take, like if you want to focus more on community pharmacy, or if you want to focus more on the industrial world, or if you want to maybe go for other kind of different ways of the profession, like hospital pharmacist or more kind of marketing or whatever. So it is important to say that we need to choose like 6 months in order to do our internships. So you can go for either community pharmacy or for the hospital section. So it's a really nice background, and well, it's a long journey because it's 5 years. And then you can also keep studying for being a hospital pharmacist. You need to do another extra 4 years. Or if you want to be a specialist pharmacist, you need to also pass a national exam and go for extra 4 years.
Interesting. So it's quite different to, there are some similarities to the UK, but there are also some differences. I want people who are listening and watching this episode to know that you became a pharmacist quite recently, 2018. So your journey as a professional is relatively new. And when we kind of open up your story and share your journey, people will realize how much you have achieved in this short space of time. And one of the things I want to, I guess, talk about to start with is definitely your love for education. When you look at your kind of qualification and starting your journey in pharmacy, you immediately enrolled into a master's in community pharmacy administration. After that, you did your master's in pharmaceutical care and pharmacotherapy, and then you decided to enroll onto the Digital Leader MBA. So there's so much going on, and let's not stop there. You have then decided to pursue a PhD, and all of that is just in a short space of 5 years. Is this something that is ingrained into you from a family perspective? Is education really important within your family network, and that's why it's important for you to continue that?
Well, I think that might be maybe a kind of mindset attitude. Like if you always want to grow, to develop, to try to be your better version of you, of yourself, it leads you into these kind of things. And always I say that one opportunity always opens another one, and that's how you start growing. So it was an opportunity starting a master's degree while finalizing the community pharmacy, the pharmaceutical degree. And I took the chance to doing the two things at the same time. So after that, I got to know this other master in pharmaceutical care. So then I decided to apply for the grant. I got it. So it's like you never stop doing things. Of course, you think and take into account that you need to do not lose the focus, and try to also have your own time for growing, for rest, for doing your hobbies, for having a life apart from the educational world. But I think that we are never going to stop learning new things. And of course, in the community pharmacy, you need to be updated for everything, to get specialized in new things, to adding value to to the work you have, it's always a important thing. So I'm right now starting a PhD, as you said, your introduction. It's about the role of the community pharmacy into the early detection of cognitive impairment. So I will need to work on people who is under antidepressant treatments and try to see if we can, from the community pharmacy, get an early diagnose, contribute in an early diagnose before this happens too late. Because if it's early diagnosed, it's far better outcome. So I never stop doing these kind of things, and this always leads me to know more people. And this is the kind of environment I feel safe and I enjoy about it. So that's the kind of attitude I think is not more from my family, it's more for myself, and I never stop doing things.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. That's such a beautiful story that you've shared. It's about your personal development, but also your professional development. And pharmacy is evolving all the time, right? Things are changing, developing, and evolving within the profession, and you have to do everything that you can to keep up with those elements, don't you? So education is a massive part of that. Continuing professional development is a huge part of our kind of journey within this profession. And it's a joy to continue growing and then implementing that learning into practice. For me, my most recent piece of education is becoming a pharmacist prescriber in palliative care for pediatrics. And that's been a joy to be part of that journey, because now there is a massive difference in terms of what I can do in my professional life. I now have the ability to run my own clinic or review patient profiles and look at their medications and optimize them or deprescribe according to what, the patient needs are. And that's something I haven't been able to do prior to this qualification. And without that extra piece of education, I've not been able to implement that change. So it's quite exciting to be part of that journey. And my family, and I've talked about this before, they just think, or people who know me, friends as well, just think it's crazy how much kind of post kind of high school education that we have to go through as pharmacists. And in total, I've done like 13 years now of university specific education, and I'm not ready to stop. I'm definitely, I'm in a place. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've got 2 kids now, so I'm in a place where I need to focus on my young children. I did my prescribing course during my pregnancy, which was quite hard, to be honest. Not impossible in any way, but of course it's a challenge.
It's required effort.
Yeah, and my youngest he's intense and he needs a lot of kind of emotional support at the moment. He's only 1. So at the moment, my focus is to continue with my work, enjoy everything I'm doing with Pharmacist Diaries, because the entrepreneur journey is a learning experience in itself and a huge learning curve for me, but also have that headspace and time and patience for my family life. But for sure, I am ready to take on more opportunities when it comes to education for 2024, but probably towards the end of 2024 instead of the kind of early stages. But it's so nice to have conversation with someone who enjoys personal development just as much as I do. And it's also really nice to encourage the community who are listening to this podcast or watching this episode that there is so much value in putting in that time and energy, which you could be enjoying coffee with friends or going to the movies or going out dancing all night. Of course, those things are really, really valuable and enjoyable, and your social life is super important. But there's also so much value in being able to do both and potentially putting a little bit more into the education side because the output can be so rewarding on a day-to-day basis when you go into work every day and you've got all these tools and knowledge and experience to kind of make the most of your work life.
My father always likes to say one sentence, if I can share it with you. It's
Absolutely.
like that if someone has the ability or has the capability, it should be doing it, because who has not the ability or the resources probably will not be doing it, right? So if you are able to do something to improve your society, or you can do something to improve yourself and through that to improve the environment in which you work or the relationships you have between all your social area of influence, I think it should be done, right? Because we all have this like a civic compromise or a social duty that we can fulfill. So I find this like a kind of motivation for try to put the efforts, put the focus on growing, as you said. And it's not a task that it will consume you. It's something that is rewarding you. It's like you are doing your own invest in yourself. So it's totally true that maybe I do not hang out as much as I used to do, but I do really love the kind of life I try to build. And of course, there is always time for everything. I spend my time and I love my time with my girlfriend. And I also have my group of friends, and I try to keep in contact because it's truly important the relations we have and the social aspect of the daily life. So there is always room for everything, but you need to be willing to pay the price. Maybe you need to wake up a bit earlier. Maybe you need to go to bed a bit earlier. So in the end, there is always time, but you need to be willing to pay the price, if you know what I mean.
I mean, living in Spain, social life is really important, right? Family and that kind of culture and community is something that's like embedded into the values of the country and the people. I visited Spain a few times, and I've really enjoyed the kind of community feel, and you sense it when you're there, and people are so friendly and kind and caring and want to get to know you. And I've really enjoyed that aspect of visiting, the country. But yeah, it's really hard in life to balance everything, to balance your personal life, your family life, your social life, your work life. There's so many things that you kind of need to juggle, and getting that right can be a learning experience in itself. And you got to make mistakes, you got to make adjustments, you've got to review what you're doing now in order to see, okay, well, at the moment I've been really focusing on education and I haven't seen my family and friends for like weeks or months. I need to change this. And you figure out, okay, I need to make sure that I maybe prioritize one family gathering every 2 weeks and put it into the diary and make sure that it's embedded there so that you get that kind of social factor. And it's quite tough. Let me ask you, because this episode is obviously, we've been introduced to each other because of FIP, and that's really exciting. And I want to showcase more about what you've been doing within that space. So tell me a little bit about how you initially got involved with the FIP and where you actually started learning more about what they had to offer and why you got involved with working with them.
Well, that's a really good question because I love sharing about FIP and ECPG. Okay, so when I was during my university period,
as a pharmacist, I know firsthand how challenging it can be to maintain our health and well-being whilst caring for others. I am a true believer of making the time to look after my physical, mental and emotional health, and I love the idea of using natural supplements to support me on this journey. That's why I was so excited to find The Naked Pharmacy. Their products are 100% plant-based and naturally sourced, 100% biodegradable, and it feels really safe to know that they are formulated, tested and manufactured to the same standard as a pharmaceutical product. However, the most important fact to share is that their CEO and founder, Kevin Levers, is a pharmacist with over 35 years of experience in the pharmaceutical industry. I love that as a community, we can support our pharmacy colleague every time that we purchase a product. As a Pharmacist Diaries listener, you get an exclusive 20% discount off all Naked Pharmacy products using the code PD20. Just visit www.thenakedpharmacy.com and treat yourself to something new.
I got involved into the student associationism. So I started working in an association of pharmacy students in my local university, and then we got involved into the national level with the Spanish Federation of Pharmacy Students. So then you get to know a little about how the education in Spain, the pharmacy degree works, and how can you improve, how can you try to add value to the pharmacy students. So if we are not having enough internships or opportunities, maybe we need to promote them to go abroad, to learn how pharmacy works in other parts of the world, to maybe do some congresses, some other events that maybe share opportunities for the pharmaceutical students. So through that, I got into IPSF, which is the International Pharmaceutical Students Federation. And then when you get to know a little more about IPSF, immediately you get to know about FIP, because it's the mother of IPSF, if you want to make the comparison. So it's the global network of pharmacists all over the world from all the countries. It's most of them has their own member that it's part of FIP for the federation. And the FIP has what we call the early career pharmaceutical group, which is intended to be gathering all the young pharmacists and early career pharmacists from their graduation date until 8 years extra. Okay, so I did my graduation on 2018, so until 8 years more. That's like I'm still having a couple of years. I can be helping and giving a bit of my time to this entity. And in the end, it allows you to network, to get to know people like-minded that it's also into the pharmacy world and wants to try to get the good ideas from pharmacy world that is happening maybe in other countries that are leading these changes and trying to implement them into your own country. And it's a huge opportunity to make new friends, to visit in new places, to get to know cities or congresses like the last one FIP host that was in Brisbane. So it was like the other part of the world for me. I traveled from Spain to Brisbane, and it was such a lovely experience. So this is the kind of thing that motivates me during my 9 to 5 part of the day, right? Like maybe it's triggering, it's challenging, but if you are into the loop, you get involved more and more, and you enjoy the time you devote. So I truly recommend people to look into FIP ECPG, the Early Career Pharmaceutical Group, and get to know all the opportunities that we can be sharing through social networks. At least try to follow, and let's see if we can maybe work in another project, another research, or maybe just have a more informal project.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are so many advantages. When you look at FIP from the point of view of actually getting involved, if you enjoy travel, if you enjoy networking with other people from different countries, if you want to learn about pharmacy and culture on a global scale, if you want to learn about what other countries are doing and implement those practices in your own country, or the other way around, you want to share what you're doing and help other countries to improve their practice, then it's a goldmine. It's literally the perfect place for you to become a member and gain so much in terms of experience and skill and knowledge. There's so many educational webinars that they're providing online as well for people, so that you don't have to physically go face to face to places, and you get exposure to so many different topics, whether it's clinical skills, whether it's leadership, whether it's problems that we're facing on a global scale within pharmacy. So it's an amazing network. But what I love about having met some of the like steering committee members is that you guys are all, you, Amanda, Xavier, like Clement, you're doing so much in your own professional space, as well as putting in a lot of time and energy and effort into FIP. But as a group, I can see all of your kind of like skills and experience can make an amazing kind of like young career group. And it's so nice to see that you're all collaborating and networking together on something that provides so much value to young pharmacists all over the globe. And then you've been talking virtually all this time, and then you get to meet up at these congresses, and you must have met up in Brisbane, and it must have just been like this amazing experience of enjoying a congress with such good friends as well. And this year it's in South Africa, and I know it's in September as well. And I'm really excited. I'm very much hoping that I can attend this year because Yeah, it would be such an amazing experience to be able to go to that Congress. So I'm looking forward to trying to make that, implement that into my kind of calendar for 2024. And there's just generally, so much going on in terms of understanding pharmacy on a global scale. So what are the kind of highlights of actually working with the steering committee? Because you've had a secretary role, and now you're the chairperson of liaison. So
No.
what are the highlights of those roles so far?
Well, the world of FIP is huge, so you get to know more and more every day. And in the end, the secretary role is more like giving support to all the other steering committee members, because there's always a huge amount of work, and maybe to provide more with the logistics, with the platforms, with the networking, with the events, with the webinars. So it's like a multitask position in which you get to know about everything that is happening in the group. And I've been involved into the strategic plan for the 2020-2030. So it's like the decade that the goals we want to achieve from FIP, from ECPG. Also, we have been working on internships and programs that we want to share with people from all over the world. In the end, you open your laptop, you have a huge amount of possibilities. That is the added value of ECPG, of FIP, that it's open and it shares with you a lot of incoming challenges and opportunities. And in the end, you get to know more people and more friends. So you enjoy the time you are devoting. So it's not something that it's very difficult to do, because you want to contribute. And as well as I've been involving in this, getting involved, and someone made an impact on me, and I start knowing more, and I see that that was a great opportunity. I feel safe and I feel happy about making this impact on more people, try to give a bit of my time and to contribute to this network, because I think it's something positive. So that are the main goals. We have been also working on a student package and early career package for people all over the world that could be attending the FIP congresses. And we have been also opening session for networking about industrial section, about community pharmacy skills. So we try to get all the knowledge together and share the opportunities with the FIP members. So that's a kind of wrap up for the mandate. But there is a lot of things to do now as chairperson of liaisons. I need to be the link between all the sections: the community pharmacy section, the hospital pharmacy section, the industrial, the health access section. So all the different sections and interest groups from FIP to the ECPG itself. So we can maybe implement a early career pharmaceutical vision, or try to implement to include more young pharmacists or more early career pharmacists into their projects, to have a little more early career perspective into all the projects that FIP is promoting at the moment. So that's a kind of the sum up, the wrap up. I do not know if you want to go for something more specific, but it's a very good question.
No, I think that's a really good summary of everything that you've been doing. And it really highlights the group is kind of open to ideas. So people are obviously sharing their thoughts, their visions, their ideas, or where they think that there would be value for the community. And it links back to community. You're serving a group of young professionals and trying to help them to grow personally and professionally, right? That is the kind of like overarching theme with the early careers group, and you all work together towards that. And I love that you get to use so many different skills that are transferable from a pharmacy degree. You've got the communication piece, you've got the networking, you've got the art of negotiation, you've got to be assertive, you've got to help people engage into the program.
Absolutely.
You've got to get, you've got marketing skills, you've got social media now, because that's where everybody is seeing information about this group, whether that's on LinkedIn or Instagram. And you're having to kind of use sales strategies, which we don't learn so much within the pharmacy degree, but they are life skill and transferable skill that you could be using in your day-to-day job, whether
That's the
it's
thing.
negotiating with a patient to take a medication versus negotiating with an early careers pharmacist to try and develop themselves professionally. It's really cool because part of this podcast is not only sharing people's journeys, but also talking about the skill set behind those journeys and the experience that you're gathering and why you're doing it. And I think that there's a lot of integration between how you volunteer your time and energy and effort with FIP and then how it links to your day job or how it might link to the education piece with your PhD as well.
That's the thing in the end, because everything is the same, right? I am the same person here in the community pharmacy, and I am the same person while working or helping at FIP. So in the end, what you grow here, it also reflects on the other side and the opposite. So if I improve my skills about social skills or soft skills, in the end, it also takes a good effect it makes a good effect on the desk while I'm working on the counter and try to give pharmaceutical advice to the people. And of course, in the pharmaceutical degree, they teach you or they show you all the kind of inhalers and all the medication effect. But if you are not able to show to the patient how they need to use and why, and to explain it in a way that they get involved into their way of looking how to get better health outcomes, they won't be using it properly. So that's the thing. It's not worth it if you know all the different inhalers, bronchodilatations, and medicines, if you are not able to teach how to use them and to make the people that is at the other side of the desk, at the other side of the counter, to be willing to use and understand why and why they need to do properly. So that's what I love from all this kind of environment, because I think it transfers automatically and it's helping me to be a better version of all the social aspects of my life. So that's trying to be the goal.
One thing I want to ask is, because you are doing so many roles, is when you've got a student listening to this podcast or watching this video, it might be quite overwhelming for them, because at the end of the day, you're doing so much. You have finished your degree, you've started working, you've really focused on education, you're volunteering your time for FIP. You also, which we haven't gone into, is some of your achievements in terms of other groups that you're involved in, other awards that you've achieved. How do you manage your time? What strategies have you personally used that help you to keep that kind of motivation going and achieve all of these goals?
Well, in the end, it's only to focus and set priorities. You also mentioned it before. If I say I want to go to the gym and work out at least 3 times a week or minimum 2 times a week, I need to organize to do that, right? Or if I want to be all the weekends or probably most of them with my lady and make another little trip or spend time together, going to have dinner or whatever, that is like a must for me. And this is my top one priority. Then, of course, I have my other priorities like my job here in the pharmacy. So I need to also secure that. And then it's only like time management. You have all your 24 hours in the day. Probably if you start waking up a bit before, yeah, I know it's hard, especially I'm the kind of person that finds difficult to wake up in the morning. But if you have a purpose that leads you to go out to the bed, it's also rewarding. So in the end, if you start organizing a bit the task, as a tip, I like making lists. I think I have one with me. So I try to make list at the end of the day. So what do I want to do for this weekend, right? What is the task that I need to do, especially important? Which ones are urgent? Which ones are important but not very time urgent? So in the end, is try to set those priorities, like the core you don't want to miss, and then to split the time you have. You need to be really aware of what you want to do and why. Because, of course, I was the kind of person that always says yes to new things, but you also need to learn how to say no, because you are devoting time, which is not being devoted to other thing. So in the end, if you are making your invest on time on this project, it's not doing it on another. So the best way is investing it on you, on the time you can grow for yourself, and also to find something that is encouraging you to help. So you find a purpose bigger than yourself, only than you, and that leads you to do more things. So as a tip, as you were requesting, organizing, making some list like top priorities, and having your must, like I want to do this and I'm going to put it as the first thing. If I cannot do other stuff, other thing, well, it's not a tragedy, but maybe it could be done next week or the next one. So that's the thing. And try to be always happy with what you have been doing, and try to not be very hard on yourself. Like if this cannot be done now, if it's not an emergency, well, it will be done later. Or try to speak to yourself in a good mood. Like if someone is having problems, of course, probably you will be helping and speaking with this friend in the best way as possible. But if you maybe you find that something went wrong, maybe you are so hard on you, like speaking badly to yourself, like I'm a mess, or why did I did this, or why this went wrong, or whatever. So try to change your mind and to change your way of seeing the world, because that is the first step to achieving all the little steps, and that's the goal, little by little, and everything will arrive. That is
Yeah,
kind of
totally.
answer.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And I love that. And it's really important to share that information, especially from the mindset piece. It's really easy to get frustrated with yourself if you don't achieve your goals. But the first thing to do is to figure out why those goals weren't achieved. So that reflection piece and understanding, did I expect too much from myself? Did I have goals that weren't achievable because I wanted to do too much with not enough time within that day or within that week or within that month? And having that kind of understanding of being kind to yourself. And I mean, everyone gets frustrated with themselves. It's completely natural and normal.
Absolutely.
I've been there many times. I'm really fortunate to have a husband who will turn around and basically say to me, would you tell your patient this? Would you speak to your patient in the same way that you're speaking to yourself? And I'm like, oh, no, never. Like literally never. I would never have
That's
these
the thing.
words come out of my mouth in front of a patient. And he's like, but then why are you speaking to yourself that way? And then it's like a nice reality check. And that's what we need to do to ourselves sometimes. We need to give ourselves a reality check. We would not speak to other people this way, our friends, our family, our patients. So why would we ever speak to ourselves this way? And I love that you bring that up in conversation, because it's really important, because people do get frustrated when they don't achieve their goals. And we need to stop that mentality and turn it around and say, okay, let's reflect and sit back and figure out why they weren't achieved. Whether that's a time piece, whether it's a motivational piece, whether it's you need accountability or a friend to help you achieve those targets, whether it's a group that you need to get involved with, so there's that sense of community so that you can achieve your goals together as a team. You need to figure out what makes you tick personally in terms of achieving those goals and making that happen. And that can be quite hard, but it's about making the time to sit down and reflect on what works for you. And also, when it comes to the time management piece, is that every week it's really important to sit down and just say, what are the absolute top 5 things I have to achieve this week, and make sure that you find the time to get those done.
That's the thing.
You can then do step 2. These are the things I'd love to achieve. And if they get done, amazing. But if they don't get done and they're not urgent or an emergency, like you say, I can push them back to the following week. And having that little bit of a strategy with regards to kind of where you put your time and energy is really valuable to make you feel good. You want to tick those things off that list. You've got that
That's
piece
the
of
thing.
paper.
Once you cross something, it's like, okay, I win, no? I won.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
It's like
it leads you to
instant
gratification in the end.
satisfaction. Yeah, instant. And I love that you still use paper, by the way, because
It helps
a
me
lot of people.
to think better. It's
Yeah.
kind
No,
of,
I love writing things down. I really do. But I have transitioned over to moving a lot of apps to log
I
my
guess.
thoughts.
It also helps.
But
But it's
But I do
different.
have paper as well. And sometimes I write it down and then I transfer it onto the app. But I just love putting pen to paper. And sometimes as well, I do it in the evenings where I don't really want to be on a screen. So I might be in bed. I might just be like logging my thoughts before I go to sleep. And just getting those thoughts out of my brain and onto paper is really helpful to allow me to have that rest. And then in the morning, I pick up and kind of
That's
put
the
them onto
thing.
the app.
According to neuroscience,
Picture this: you're juggling multiple prescriptions, patient consultations, and endless hours of administrative tasks, all while maintaining a happy work-life balance. It's chaotic, it's stressful, and it's downright exhausting. Or maybe you're a student who's overwhelmed by all your assignments, exams, OSCEs, whilst attending hours and hours of lectures and labs and maintaining an active social life. What if I told you there's a way to streamline your week and reclaim a sense of control over your time? I think I can kickstart that journey. I've created a free PDF guide, 5 steps to streamline your week and add 5 hours to your schedule. In this guide, you'll learn how to optimize your workflow, prioritize your tasks, and carve out precious time for self-care and personal pursuits. Click the link below to grab the guide now. I promise you your future self will thank you for it.
it is said that the way of writing, right, like the act of writing into paper, it makes you think in a higher way, because you need to get the ideas and then you need to transform them into words, into actions. So that helps to make them more feasible and to make them also more reality, right? Because if they are in the paper, they are more easy to later become an action. And also, if you cannot do because lack of time or whatever, it stays on the list, so it helps you to transfer it to the next list you could be doing. And according to what you just said, I think everybody understands the importance of maybe self-discipline, but I think there is a lack of awareness about maybe the self understanding or the way we are kind to ourselves. Because of course you are your own investment, but of course you are also your own best friend. And we tend to forget maybe that, and we only focus on the task and all the projects, and we tend to forget about ourselves. So it's important to be your own best friend and try to cheer for all the things you have been working. So that's the kind of attitude, and I think it's important. If we all could be a bit better to ourselves, probably later we will be reflecting that to our environment, to our friends, to our social relations. So that's the whole thing.
Oh, I love that. That makes a lot of sense. Be your own cheerleader, for sure. I love that. Let me ask you for 2024.
Yeah.
Have you set your 2024 goals yet, Gonzalo?
Well, I made it. I made my ideas. I set a time when I was with my girlfriend. We devote one little afternoon time to say, hey, what are you expecting? What are your goals for 2024? What do you want to improve? What do you think 2023 was not good enough? And then we start writing our own goals, and then we share with each other, and then we try to see how can we help each other achieving those goals. It was from something very easy, like I think I need to drink more water because I find difficult to drink water during the day, and it's something I should be improving. So easy as that is one task. And then maybe I need to improve my English, or I need to improve my skills on something. Then you need to say, okay, that's the plan, but how can we make it? So let's try to find a time in the week to maybe start doing this, or maybe learning this other. So I find that also, if you do with your partner, it allows you to build something together and to have also a support, a friend that is going to be there for you, and another good cheerleader. So it's important to also be rooting for you, but also for your fiance, for your lady, for your man, for whoever is with you. So I think that's a beautiful project, and setting all your aspirations and try to transform them into plans it's something that, of course, tries to bring them closer to reality.
I love that, and it's really important. It's really nice to share those ideas and thoughts and goals with somebody else, whether it's a friend or a partner. It helps to keep you accountable, but it also is nice to support each other on that journey and help each other to achieve those goals and chase your dreams and all of the things. And I'm sure that you have joint goals together as a couple, things that you want to do, whether it's traveling or experiences that you want to
Absolutely.
go and do together. And that's a really nice part of the journey of a partnership and a friendship, right?
We are right now saving money a little every month. We are planning for a trip in September, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Amazing.
We want to also make that kind of plans and projects together, because in the end, that relationship is something that you both need to build together and work a little every day. So I think that's the whole thing we have been talking. Like, if you try to grow and improve in one thing, it will be transferred into all the spheres and all the parts of your life. So that's a good advice for if any student is listening to us, or if any person that is finding a bit of a problem nowadays or struggling with something. There is no bad thing that lasts for 100 years. It's something that we say a lot in Spain. And there is always a sunset, right? And a dawn, like the sun goes back again. So there is always room to be a better you and to start a whole new thing. So that's a kind of positive message I would love to share.
Absolutely. And there's been so many positive messages in this podcast episode. And I think even if people are listening to this episode now and they just say, oh, there are people who don't have loads of friends that they can hold accountable, or family members. Well, I want people to know you have me. If you're watching or listening to this episode, you have me. You have me to rely on in this professional and personal journey. You just need to reach out. I will always
You can
always
put the
respond.
LinkedIn or the email.
Yeah,
People can
I will absolutely. Social
texting
media
or
and
adding.
email, you will find me. So if you don't have anyone to talk to and you really want some help with achieving these targets, then I'm your gal. So yeah, reach out. That's what I have to say. I just think there's an amazing amount that's come out of this episode, Gonzalo. I'm so happy that we've got to learn more about your journey into pharmacy and all these amazing achievements, all the kind of skills and experiences that you've had to date in such a short space of time. In the next few years, I'm excited to see where things go for you, especially with the PhD. So, have you done 1 year already?
No,
Or you just started?
I started quite recently because I signed up for the last December. So I'm right now working on defining and choosing the topic itself. We are working, of course, in the antidepressants and the cognitive impairment. We need to find which kind of population, or if we are going to do the research in only the pharmacy or the pharmacy and the hospital. So that's a kind of interprofessional collaboration we are now trying to get reality done. So it's really the early beginning, and I try to spend a little time in the mornings, as I said, to work on this, because once I come to the pharmacy, I need to focus, of course, on the task. And it's not possible to be having the head on the PhD. I need to do either before or after. So as after the day, I like going to the gym and resting a little. The way of doing it is starting a bit before and working on that extra hour before. So that's the thing. And of course, I'm also excited about what the time will be hosting for all of us. And I will be happy to come again to the Pharmacist Diaries in a while and share with
Yes.
you what is going now, right?
Absolutely. I'd love to have another episode and talk about your journey, even a few months from now when
Well,
you've really
you,
kind of
right?
fully integrated into the PhD, and you can let us know how that's going. And this whole time management piece and understanding where your goals fit in is really valuable information to share on today's episode. So I really appreciate your time and your energy, and I'm so glad that we've had an opportunity again to talk about the positive aspects of being part of FIP in terms of the membership or being part of the Early Careers Pharmaceutical Group. That's an amazing opportunity for people listening or watching to this episode and need a bit more of a community. So thanks again for making the time, and watch this space, everybody, and let's see what Gonzalo has to offer us a few months from now.
Looking forward.